Hey everyone, welcome back to Disney Song Statistics. This one's called Part 2, Keys and Modulations. And just a quick reminder that the spreadsheets and charts we look at in these videos are embedded at tonaltrends.com for you to peruse for yourself at your leisure. There should be a link somewhere down below. Unless you're already there, then stay put. Or you could do what my wife does and have your video open in one browser and free Tetris open in another one. And again, if you want to skip the introductory part go straight to the computer presentation, go here. Okay, first thing we're going to look at is data on tonalities. So in total, there were 80 tonalities found in 70 songs, which means that 10 songs used 2 tonalities at different times. These instances turned out always to go from either major to minor, or minor to major. We also found some songs in the blues tonality. But if a song was in blues, it stayed that way. So yeah, 80 instances of either major, minor, or the blues super mode. No other modes like Dorian or Istrian or anything fun like that. But, oh well, too bad. What are you going to do? Oh, but one disclaimer about blues tonalities. It can be somewhat subjective describing a song that uses blues elements, blue notes, blue chords, to be officially in a blues or super mode tonality. Or just a song that's in major or minor that happens to have a few exodiatonic or outside of diatonic sounding elements here and there. But yeah, moving on. As far as keys go, or the tonics of the tonalities go, the challenge was that half the time the published sheet music was different than what was in the source material. So what did I end up doing about that? Well, I decided to just catalog both. And the final tally was that in the book we had 118 keys, and in the original productions we found 138 keys. Most of this discrepancy came from sections that modulated and were not included in the book, offset by a few, actually, that were added to the book for whatever reason. And speaking of modulations, probably the most impressive statistic in this study was that between all the song sources, there were slightly more modulations than there were even songs. I know, it's like the total tally was 73 modulations found in 70 songs. And that's not even including any of the return modulations or book-to-film transposed modulations. I mean, that's just nuts. That's almost 10 times more modulating going on than your average song from the Rolling Stone Greatest Songs list. Whew. Okay, let's see how this all looks on the grids. Back into my computer we go. So firstly, we can see, quite predictably, that Disney songs favor major tonalities by a lot. And yeah, that isn't that exciting since most genres use major keys the most, and minor keys the least. The only slightly interesting thing here to point out is how low the bar is for the blues tonalities. Only 8% of the songs used everyone's favorite many notes squished together modern supermode of a tonality often referred to as the blues. But yeah, maybe it didn't appear as much as it did in the Rolling Stone list because Disney produces mostly happy type stuff with like princesses and their cuddly sidekicks and whatnot. And the blues is like steeped in like your lover cheating on you and your creditors confiscating your mule and like human slavery. So yeah, when you think of it that way, 8% seems like a pretty good showing for Disney music anyway. Okay, now on to key usage. First, please note how the published keys are colored in blue and the produced keys are colored in red. Okay, so our overall winner was the key of F, especially in the sheet music column, where it was used a full quarter of the time. Then C and G have some pretty good showings, and after that we have a moderate anomaly with E flat in 4th place. An anomaly because this key was one of the bottom dwellers in the Rolling Stone study. The last place key by average was the key of B, which is no big shock. There are some points of interest, though, with the low showings for E and A, since E and A were the 1st and 2nd place winners, according to Rolling Stone. But yeah, look what happens when I add in the Rolling Stone data. It's going to be colored in yellow. C, E, and A are the clear winners here. But yeah, like I alluded to when we saw this graph in its last video, you can chalk that up to the fact that the lowest 2 open strings on guitars are E and A. And because of this, guitarists really like to write in those keys. Basically, I guess this just means that Disney songwriters are not often guitarists. Disney, sorry, you do not rock. Not you, Hannah Montana, you rock. Everyone else, sorry. But yeah, now that we've been looking at this for a while, let's prove our theory that publishers do not like keys with sharps and flats. Dig this. So, discounting minor tonalities, the tallest half of these blue lines here all have 3 black notes or less, and the shortest half have 3 or more black notes in their key signatures. So yeah, I mean, doesn't get much more clear cut than that. For the red columns, we do see the same tonal trend, it's just way less pronounced. Like, there are some shorter reds, but none that just got completely squashed by the publishers, like these three guys here on the left. And yeah, if you're sad that I left out the minor mode in that analysis and we're hoping that I break down the key data further by pure sharps and flats, like I did in the Rolling Stone video series, well, for this video, I decided not to, mainly because there just wasn't enough data to make it worth it. But yeah, if you want to see what that can look like when you break it up by relative keys instead of parallel keys, you can watch that video. Okay, let's move on to modulations. So here's what's going on here. I got my modulation motions down the left side here, with the lowest bar representing when the modulation was down a perfect fourth, like da-da-da-ba-dum. And the highest representing modulation up a tritone, like if anybody ever went like this. Da-da. And I should point out that the way it's organized here is by shortest distance, which is how most people think of it. But like, if you want to think in terms of like all ups, like thinking that a modulating down a minor second is the same as modulating up a major seventh, that's perfectly fine. You'll just have to do the math in your head. But yeah, that's extra credit. For now, it's just easier to have a bias towards shorter interval distances. The color coding you see shows what kind of tonality was modulated to. And if you remember, blues songs always stayed in their super mode. Beyond that, I'll just tell you that songs starting in major and modulating to minor were three more in the number than, happened three more times than songs starting in minor and modulating to major. I'm just telling you that because I couldn't figure out a way to represent that tidbit on the graph. I also didn't find a way to include return modulations, but I probably wouldn't have included that data anyway since it might have been unfair in a double dip kind of way. But yeah, as far as return modulations go, I'll just say that they happen about a third of the time, and especially when a tonality has also been changed. For instance, the only song in the study that changes tonalities for good, well, let's just say that the song started in minor, then let it go, and was frozen in major. Looking at the total length of the bars, we see a couple of things. First, that musicians like to modulate upward, or near upward if you prefer, more than they like to modulate downwards. So much so that our first, second, and third place winners were directly above the original key, with modulations up a major second in the lead. The fourth place finisher is in the down category. Down a minor third. And I think many of you are already guessing that that's a symptom of modulating to the relative minor from major, which people do all the time. If you don't know what that is, relative modulation from major to minor is where you keep the same key signature, but move the root down a minor third. Ba-dum, ba-dum. You can reciprocate this from minor to major as well, which is one reason why up a minor third probably finished so strong. And also perhaps a reason why it doesn't have a reddish 2 minor segment in it, unlike the down a minor third, which does have a nice beefy reddish chunk. Incidentally, the other place we see a larger hunk of red is in the unison bar in the middle, where some songs seem to have liked to modulate to minor while maintaining the same root or tonic. These are called parallel modulations when this happens. You know, it's like, I'm so happy, but now I'm sad. Look, my long-lost dog came back, and oh wait, he's just here to ask us for money. Parallel modulations. I don't know why a dog would ask me for money upon returning, but anyways. Moving on, the modest showings for modulations by perfect fourth, up or down, are probably owed to the fact that modulating tonalities by perfect fourths is equivalent to just one turn of the circle of fifths dial, which means only adding or subtracting one sharp or flat. This least amount of tonal change can also mean the least dissonance to the listener's ear, which can be nice, I guess. But yeah, what can sometimes be prohibitive about these modulations is the fact that these larger leaps might present too much of a challenge for a singer and their vocal range. Not Michael Bolton, though. Michael Bolton will modulate anywhere, anytime. But yeah, keep in mind this limitation is more for vocal music than instrumental music. You'll probably see more of these leaps in purely instrumental music studies, especially piano music, an instrument that has virtually no limits when compared to the human voice. Last thing to notice is that modulating by tritone is predictably the lowest, with no modulations represented in the study. And that's probably because if you modulate by tritone in a Disney song, I believe what happens is that Bambi's mother's ghost comes back as a zombie deer and kicks your eyeballs in with her zombie hooves. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happens. But okay, before we go, I'd like to mention just a couple of my favorite modulations from the study. First, the modulations in the song Little April Shower are kind of cool since they ascend based on the roots, third and fifth of a C major triad. You know, so we got C major, drip, drip, drop, and then later we go up to E major, drip, drip, drop, little April showers. And then later we modulate to G major, drip, drip, drop, little April showers. And even cooler is that those three keys happen to be also the first three notes of the melody, which is just a major triad. Bum, bum, bum. So yeah, modulations based off of motif. Find that technique or example of that somewhere else and I will mail you $1. Next, Be Our Guest has a sizable showing with 5 modulations and 6 keys. And I kind of think of these like kind of like John Cusack describes mixtapes in high fidelity. It's like we start out in G, right? Then we kick it up just a semitone to A flat. But then we cool it off a notch down to F sharp minor. Because, you know, we don't want to blow our wad. But then we pick it right back up where we left off in our rising chromatic sequence to A. Oh, and then we skip the double dog dare B flat key straight to B major. And then just when you thought any more modulation would be against the laws of physics and Einstein and all that stuff, boom, C major. So yeah, we got G to A flat to F sharp minor, then A, B, C, A, B, C, easy as 1, 2, 3. All right, third, I want you to get excited about some mid-section modulations. So most of the time, we modulate in the transition space from one song form section to another. So when we modulate in the middle of a section, it can be that much more epic. So like the first verse in the song Reflection from Mulan has this ascending phrase in F sharp, da-da-da, you know, that goes like mi fa so. And what it does is it takes the last note of that, and upon repetition, this last note now becomes the first note of the phrase. So becomes mi, and the key modulates following the motif. So it's like da-da-da, and then you just modulate da-da-da. Pretty cool, huh? All right, another example of a midsection mod is in the Circle of Life from The Lion King, where in the last chorus we have a common tone modulation up a minor third, right when the sun ray hits the new baby Lion King. And it's all like, you know, ah, right in the middle of the chorus. It so nailed me the first time I heard it. And now I know why. Okay, so we're on the 5 chord in B flat major, that's the F chord. When suddenly a common tone allows us to modulate to D flat. And then we return to a B flat chord, but now instead of being the 1 chord, it's a secondary dominant to the 2 of the new key. Bam, moves our soul. It's a circle of life. So good. All right, next, in Everybody Wants to Be a Cat, we've got 6 unique modulations. Remember, blues keys have major minor elements squished together, but we can also describe them as being in major blues or more minor blues, depending on their biases. So like, I want to highlight that the bridge modulations are examples of major blues keys in the midst of more minor blues keys. So yeah, the head keys are in minor blues, but the bridge 2-5-1 stuff is in major blues. It's a great song for outlining the differences between when a jazz number is in major blues and minor blues. You should go check it out. For my last favorite, remember how I said there were no modulations of a tritone? Well, Michael Bolton came close in Go the Distance from Hercules. Here's how. So yeah, we start out in D major with a 1, 5, 4, then a direct modulation to F, with a 1, 4, 5, then a common melody tone modulation back to D for a circle of fifths dial back from A to D to G, or 5, 1, 4. Then we have another common melody tone modulation to B major, in which they delay the 1 chord with a 5, 4, 5, finally 1. So yeah, that's a modulation up a minor third from D to F, and then back down a minor third back to D, then quickly down another minor third, finally getting to B. The B stands for Bolton. So yeah, this is as close as we come to a modulation by tritone. It's a Herculean hydra of modulations for a Herculean song. Okay, well that's it for this one, but I hope you can stay for the next video, Disney Song Statistics Part 3, Rhythms, Tempos, and Meters. Thanks for watching, and please make sure to click us a like on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter, join the mailing list, and tell all your friends about the songwriting and music theory videos at tonaltrends.com. Thanks.